Welcome everyone to tonight's WWE Smackdown watch party, which will feature Drew McIntyre and Sheamus taking on the Viking Raiders. We will get Ridge Holland and Butch of the Brawling Brutes taking on Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci of Imperium, and of course at the Summit, the contract signing between Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. Interestingly enough, earlier today a report came out that Kevin Owens was in attendance at Smackdown, which would be amazing if not for the fact that he's obviously there. He has a segment booked. But at least we got there. Nothing actually announced for the women as of yet, but I'm sure we'll get more of a push towards the Royal Rumble. Only Liv Morgan so far has announced herself on the Smackdown side, though we have seen hints from Raquel Rodriguez that she will be involved. We've seen some qualifiers, but not many, which tells me it's real low down. Sean says Xia Li versus Liv Morgan is a pre-show dark match, suggesting that neither of them will be on the card tonight. Liv Morgan is not likely to double duty after all. But the focus, as much as anything, as we open the show, is on Sami Zayn. Earlier today I recorded Nick and Tom's Intercontinental Adventure, ready for PW Torch. And what I do have to say is that easily the most interesting part of this whole storyline is not in the match at the Royal Rumble. Hello Harry, hello Justin, how are we doing everybody? Welcome to the show. Be sure to hit like as you come in. We did reach 2,040 subscribers earlier today. We are full steam ahead to reach 2,100. We are targeting 5,000 by the end of the year. We'll see how that goes. It is a very ambitious target, but as long as we have some good Smackdowns to look forward to, it doesn't seem too far out of the realms of possibility. Welcome Carmelina as well. The focus very much so far is on the fact that Sami Zayn had the match won last week, and he very much did. He said, I'll take care of it, and he was going to. It's not Roman who was involved in this one. I suspect it might have been the Usos acting alone, but we'll see how that plays out. Harry says, Rey Mysterio and Bray Wyatt appearing tonight. Bray Wyatt definitely is. Rey Mysterio strong, maybe. He does have an ongoing storyline with Karrion Kross. Well, basically to lose. As regards Bray Wyatt, Uncle Howdy is in the building. So we'll likely see some continuation of that particular plotline. Bailey says, hello Tom. Hello Bailey. Hello Sean. Bailey said, maybe it's me, but SmackDown isn't the same without Pat McAfee. I agree with that. I really do. But I do suspect Pat McAfee and Boogs may be back at around the same time. Moxie, welcome to the show. Sammy's celebrating the arrival of the Bloodline. Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns arriving right as this show begins. Interestingly, Paul Heyman not in the car. Not in the car, already there. Hello Megan, how are you? It's not often you start with a hello, I'm surprised. Roman refusing to bump fists with Sammy. Interesting when you consider that they were best of friends. And Sammy was getting things done. The contract signing should be in the main event slot tonight, which likely surprises no one. A lot of people, as you might expect, are expecting The Rock. Don't know why, but a lot of people are always expecting The Rock nowadays. If you want more information on that, check out Spoiler Warning earlier today, where we explained exactly what the status is with The Rock as we speak at the moment. We are already launching into the Progressive commercial. And our opening match with representatives from the Brawling Brutes, Sheamus, and with representative of himself, Drew McIntyre, will be taking on the Viking Raiders. Now, the Viking Raiders have been strongly protected since returning as a new vicious version of the new vicious version that they previously returned as and were strongly protected. This is an interesting one because, to be blunt, if the Viking Raiders lose this, it tells me they're not long for this division. Christoph says, I just saw the report from Fightful about Ronda not being booked for the Rumble. What the hell is that? Certainly a surprise to me. Certainly a surprise to me, especially considering that would be her 1 year anniversary. She's easily one of the biggest names in the company. To miss the Royal Rumble is not a good sign about intentions going forwards. Harry says, hope Uncle Howdy comes out to say something to LA Knight. Uncle Howdy may have his hands full. After all, he was on Raw chasing after Alexa Bliss. SmackDown typically nowadays starts with a half-hour match. This tag team match should certainly fit the bill. I'm excited for this one. It's the first chance that the Viking Raiders have had in a long time to really show what they can do. I'd imagine at the end of this, they're definitely going to have some new fans. Simon, Triple H is not burying Liv Morgan. He's not burying Liv Morgan. She has ongoing storylines, which is more than most have, going into the Royal Rumble. If you're not watching, you don't really get to say who's being buried or not. Christoph says Charlotte versus Sonya at the Rumble to be announced tonight, do you think? No. Yeah, I don't see Charlotte wrestling at the Rumble. If anything, I think it'll be a next week affair. Triple H likes very, very few matches for his pay-per-views, and the Royal Rumble matches themselves will take up a long time. So I can't imagine they're going to have too many matches. Sheamus and McIntyre celebrating their new partnership. As the Viking Raiders wondering. Yes, Megan, of course you can. I didn't know that was a thing. Go nuts. Valhalla, formerly known as Sarah Logan, of course, comes down to the ring with the Viking Raiders. I think she's added exactly nothing to their gimmick and act so far. Like, exactly the sum total of nothing. Essentially, they're paying her to just sort of be there. She hasn't done anything. Simon, the ongoing storyline is as regards to Royal Rumble. You did, Megan. You did say that. You did. Fair play. We did not see the Viking Raiders attack Sheamus and Drew McIntyre 2 weeks ago. It seems very likely that it was lost for time, given how quickly the match and the show actually finished that week. It's an opportunity for the Viking Raiders to really make a statement, but I don't see them winning. I do not see them winning at all. Ooh, we're going to get a bracket. Christian, welcome. Says, do you have any news on whatever happened to Sami Zayn's conspiracy documentary and WWE using the White Rabbit song? So, two things. The conspiracy documentary was widely reported as going to be a real, live documentary. It was never planned to be. There was never any intention for that to actually happen. So, the reports on that one were simply incorrect. As regards the White Rabbit song, the WWE licensed the song in order to suggest the return of Bray Wyatt. I reported at the time, I think it's September, a month before, that he had signed a new deal and would be returning shortly. That is exactly what happened with Bray Wyatt. At this point, they no longer have the license to the song. There was no real need to keep it. Justin wants Sarah Logan to ditch the antlers. I think she could ditch a lot of the costume, personally. I don't necessarily want her to go back to being Sarah Logan, but I think the overall character of Valhalla simply does not work. It feels very comic book and very long time ago. Simon, I have no idea if Liv Morgan is going to be on SmackDown tonight. Neither do you. It's been 8 minutes in. Sean says, has WWE not had plans for Ronda because we haven't seen her since losing the titles? Well, yeah, there's still very much plans. We haven't seen her, that's true. But the plan is tag division. That's what she's asked for and that's what she wants. And ultimately, as per the terms of her contract, no matter how many times she disagrees with Triple H about it, she has a contract saying that she has booking power. She has creative control. She has the ability to say, I want to do this. And that's what she's doing. It really shouldn't surprise them that she's doing exactly what she was brought in to do. Getting quite a bit of historical information going on right now from Michael Cole. Not what I expected. We are still very early in the match. Drew McIntyre hasn't really come into play yet. Sheamus is getting all his big offense out of the way early, it seems. Really popping the crowd. Ready to go into a hot tag section? I'd expect him to be the hot tag. But the crowd are hot for it. Sheamus is definitely more over than he's been in a long time. He really goes through phases. Sheamus. When he was with the Bar, he was incredibly popular. After he beat Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania, incredibly popular. We're getting there. Oh, Sheamus can't quite get the high he was looking for. Megan says, I just noticed Viking Raiders are wearing Dem Boys armbands. I did not realise that. But you are correct, aren't you? A sign of respect, which will have gone through committee, just to make it clear. Harry says, maybe they announced Sheamus in the Royal Rumble. They have. They've announced Sheamus and Drew McIntyre for the Royal Rumble in a video on Twitter earlier today. 10 minutes in, we go into our first commercial break as the Viking Raiders start to impose themselves. Sheamus undoubtedly is going to start building towards a hot tag to Drew McIntyre, but that will be our next 10 minutes. Christoph says, not a big fan of Sarah's new gimmick, but I know Liv is very happy to have her back, so I'm happy for Liv. Fair, and of course they are on the same show after all. Makes perfect sense to me. And Justin's excited that SmackDown is teaching history. Well, why the hell not? Why not learn about Ireland? I mean, the UK government seems to have no idea. That's how they made the Brexit deal that they did. Simon, I don't know what you mean by rundown script, but if you mean from the usual leakers, they've been wrong plenty of times in the past. So you don't know, you think you know. Very different situation. Christian says, just speculation here. Who do you think will be the special entrance in the Royal Rumble since Cody got announced? I don't think we're expecting massive movie stars and the like. I do think Cody Rhodes mostly was announced so that you'd stop thinking he was going to win it when he's going to win it. I think, if anything, Logan Paul, Bad Bunny, that's the sort of thing I'm expecting. I'm not expecting The Rock, personally. Harry says, any news about Tamina returning soon? No news, haven't heard anything, and honestly, it doesn't sound like they're really talking about it. Eric Douglas wants Will Ospreay. I would love that. I think I've already spoken about it here, but I want to say it one more time. I would love it if Will Ospreay did turn up in the Royal Rumble, eliminate Seth Rollins, which leads us to a WrestleMania match between Seth and Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay does not wrestle at any point in the WWE before that match. Has the match with Seth Rollins, ultimately does lose it, because, you know, he's going to go back to New Japan. But I think all sides can come to an agreement on that particular concept. And I think we as fans will be the big winners there. Kieran says, I only want one man, and his name is Mr. Kennedy. That's unlikely. And Justin says, Logan Paul, Bad Bunny, Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee, I definitely feel is going to be getting involved in this year's Royal Rumble. I'd be surprised if he wasn't in some way involved. Ghost says, and I appreciate you catching this because I did not. Michael Cole did offer WWE's condolences for Jay Briscoe on commentary prior to the beginning of the match. Also, hello again, Tom and chat. Welcome back, Ghost. How you doing? Sean says, I do remember a few years ago Seth saying he wanted Kenny Omega at WrestleMania. To be fair, Seth kind of wants everybody. He just wants to have great matches, and he thinks with a Kenny Omega with a Will Ospreay, he might get the vaunted 5-star. He doesn't care all that much, but he is probably right. I mean, I'm not going to complain at the idea of that triple threat. It would be a hell of a gorgeous match, and I'd very much enjoy it. But I just don't necessarily see it ever happening. Will Ospreay's a bit of wishful thinking on my part. I think we all know that. It's possible, Christian. Certainly possible we could see a David Benoit in there. He's a very talented wrestler, but that doesn't really help the WWE in any way, shape or form. And as long as it doesn't help the WWE, they won't do it. Christoph says there was some rumours about RVD and Booker in the Rumble, but I doubt it. By some rumours, do you mean zero news? Harry says, hope Shane McMahon is in the Royal Rumble. Me too. That would be funny. And as long as it's funny, I'm interested. We are back in action. Valhalla peering into the ring, just sort of peering and poking. Drew McIntyre is on the apron waiting for the hot tag. Justin says he'd love the content for his show at least, and it'd be a great way to re-debut. Yes, it would. Moxie wants a dream match of Gunter versus Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe. Simon, what you're saying is Liv hasn't won a match since about a month ago. That's not long. That's not long. Especially when you consider she doesn't wrestle every week. There is such a thing as using stats to make it say whatever the hell you want. And that's exactly what you've just done. That's exactly what you've just done. So, move on. We don't host a show just so that you can be annoyed at people and bring the mood down. So move on or move out. Sean says, I believe this was from Fightful or The Observer, but apparently the Usos are going to be defending the title separately from now on. Interesting. I hadn't heard that one myself, but Fightful is certainly reporting a lot right now, and Dave Meltzer's always reporting something, so interesting to see how it plays out long term. I do like that they are at least separating the defenses for the titles here. I like that. It's important, I feel, to at least keep the tag team championships in contention, but it also means the Usos can be worn down a little bit, you know? They can be pushed to their limits more than they were. Got a good look at the armbands there while Eric was picking up Sheamus. Sheamus starting to revive. He won't be able to make the tag yet. I expected this to be a break for essentially the whole 10-minute segment. Ivar literally laying into Sheamus there a little bit. Literally. McIntyre's in for the hot tag. Gonna come in a house of fire, as we would expect. Mox says AJ did win a pay-per-view match for... AJ didn't win a pay-per-view match for a year. Sami Zayn lost like 40 matches in a row. Lost to Johnny Knoxville to peak a year in which I think he only won one match. It doesn't matter. Wins and losses genuinely don't matter as much as they used to because you can get hot again afterwards. Justin says with Triple H booking, I stopped with losing equals buried if they are heavily featured in story. And that's absolutely correct. If you're a big deal in the story that's ongoing, you're going to get the attention that you need in order to get over. Christoph says Drew and Sheamus tag team champs together would be very cool. I don't see the Viking Raiders winning here. I do think Drew and Sheamus go basically all the way, but then ultimately lose the match. I keep forgetting that Drew McIntyre can do a Michinoku driver. It's glorious. Megan says we could see a situation similar to what Becky had at Money in the Bank a couple of years ago. The Usos facing back-to-back challenges at a show, and that's how they lose one set of titles. I agree with that, and it would certainly work out really well for WrestleMania. A certain amount of double duty from the Bloodline could go a long way. Harry says, imagine Natalya in a Women's Royal Rumble. I can very easily do that. She's been in all of them so far. I think all of them so far. She is, after all, considered to be the ring general of the women's division. She is the most trusted of anyone in that women's division. Michael Cole laying into journalists. It's not often I laugh about it, but I sometimes have to just show respect. Match continues. McIntyre now starting to be worn down. The heels are in a strong position, mostly because of double team action. It's all paying off. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate that. It's always worth saying that sometimes you check a source and it's not what you expected. And that's fair enough. That does happen. I mean, God knows every website's reporting the same stuff from lots of different people, and sometimes they call it an exclusive when it's not even theirs. It's very confusing. Kieran, Pete Dunne and Ridge Holland will be wrestling later on today as Brawling Brutes against Imperium's Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. Sheamus isn't really focusing on them anymore, but he will be doing long term. Megan says wins and losses really don't matter. Sami Zayn only had 13 wins out of 78 matches last year, and there's no way anyone can say he had a bad 2022. 2021 was even worse. Moxie says, Tom, do you think Roman goes double duty at WrestleMania in your opinion? Yeah, probably. There's too many good storylines in and around him, and I just feel that if you don't go double duty, you're wasting it. At the same time, though, I don't want him to get both main events. I'd like him to open the first show and close the second show. I don't think there's anyone else who could really be main event other than Roman, though. You know, actual main event, like two main event. So open the show, wrap the show up. That works for me. Unless we do get Ospreay versus Seth Rollins, which again is unlikely, but I'd like it. You know, it's unlikely, but I would be a happy boy. Dom welcome says I'm back. This time, hit that like button or we have 2 words for you, not Usi. The call of a good SmackDown is whether or not we are all Usi or not. And Dom has a good read on Usiness. Welcome, mate. Justin says they've got a match against Imperium. They do. Carmelina's having a lot of fun, says you're the best. Love watching you. Thank you, Carmelina. Appreciate that. Glad you're having a good time. We're 20 minutes in, so as long as people are having fun, that's the important thing. Eric says after Ospreay eliminates Seth, Jay White and Chelsea Green win the Rumble, that would be peak Vince booking. It absolutely would not. It'd be the exact opposite of Vince McMahon booking, because Chelsea Green is not a big name star compared to the Horsewomen, and Jay White winning is definitely not something Vince will ever do. It's the exact opposite of Vince McMahon booking, and I think you know that. I do think you know that. Megan says, not sure if this could happen, but I would say Roman faces a Chamber winner in the opener on night 1, then the Rumble winner night 2 in the main event. For me, the Elimination Chamber is the most important one. That could be when Sami gets involved. Because Sami Zayn, let's not forget, could take on Roman in the opening match of WrestleMania, and then on night 2, team up with Kevin Owens and take the tag team championships from the Usos. Thus, disappointment, and then great victory. Moxley says, I think Roman versus Sami has to be on WrestleMania. Would be so interesting, and by the time Sami would be the most over babyface in my opinion. Sean says, I don't see how 2018 was a bad year for Sasha and Bayley. They were featured in feuds and got title matches. How is that bad? It's not. I don't think Sasha Banks has ever had a bad year in the WWE. I don't think she has. She's been a key focus every single time. Kieran says, I've just seen the tag title tournament bracket, and Drew Sheamus could end up facing the Brawling Brutes. They could. Personally, I think this is how we launch the Gunter versus Drew McIntyre program. I know it's not being reported by anywhere else, but I want it, and I want it bad. That for me is the WrestleMania program for the IC title. And I think it's around time Drew McIntyre lost a match at WrestleMania, because it's been a while. I'm pretty sure the last time he lost a match at WrestleMania was against Roman Reigns, back when he was still the Scottish psychopath, which I did prefer. We are back in action for the last segment of the match. The Viking Raiders have been dominant throughout, primarily down to just good old-fashioned teamwork, which is good, but I can't necessarily say they've been able to really show what they can do. McIntyre's not someone who's going to sell too hard for you, which is a shame. McIntyre nearly lost his footing on the kip up, but managed to recover it. Well done. We are heading towards the teasers for finishers. I forget that I've had spin kicks and handstands and all that jazz. Megan says, I would love that. Sami, Usos and Roman all working both nights just makes sense. They're a massive draw, and it's one of the best stories we've had in a long time. I would find it difficult to decide who I would want to be challenging for the Raw Tag Team Championships on night 1. I'd probably have the Usos retain and move the Bloodline to Raw. Not sure how it would play out, but that's what I'd be thinking. Sean says, do both Rumble winners lose at Mania this year like they did last year? I'd need to know who they are going to be first. Then I'd need to know the storylines. Then I'd need to start talking to people. It's an impossible question to answer. Hector says, Tom, have you heard if there's any plans for Brandy Rhodes to wrestle or appear on screen at all, or no? She has appeared in vignettes for Cody, but when Cody Rhodes returned, there was no plan for Brandy to return as well. There was no plan for her to really be featured. The WWE simply not that interested. Valhalla's trying to provide the distraction. This is starting to feel very Karrion Kross. We'll see if the distraction actually costs them. Ah, yes, Kieran, thank you. Says he lost to Bobby at WrestleMania 37. You are correct. Go says, is it possible that all first-round matches for the tag team tournament happening tonight is an indirect tribute to Jay Briscoe, or was this already booked this way prior to his passing? It was already booked this way. It is not a nod to Jay Briscoe. The intention was to really focus on tag team wrestling this week. It does leave the option of having this tag team championship match at the Royal Rumble, but they have to get through it first. Eric looking a bit worse for wear today. A few bumps and bruises there. Eric really wants Los Lotharios to win the tournament. Me too. They've not had an opportunity yet. Harry says, hope Michelle McCool or other legends return to the Royal Rumble. She's been trying to make it happen. We'll see if WWE want it, but we'll see if she's trying to make it. But we can't say for certain that she's trying to make it happen. Sheamus is starting his comeback. This match has been a lot less about Drew McIntyre than it typically would be. But it looks like Viking Raiders are going to be put down here. Christoph says, fans reacting positively on my article about Ronda not being at the Rumble pissed me off. I'm a big Ronda fan. Sean says, is it true Warner Media blocked AEW from paying tribute to Jay Briscoe? No, they did not block them from paying tribute. They blocked the TV show that they were filming from airing. They only pay for so many hours of scheduled wrestling content. They are not willing to pay the extra that would be required in order to put on the tribute show. I can see both sides. Kieran says, I didn't realise the Rumble was so close. This month has flown by. The Rumble is a week and a day away. 1 week and 1 day Royal Rumble. We do ourselves a 5-hour watch party. Should be fun. I'm excited for it. I do think, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, I do think the Royal Rumble could well be the first 10k view show that I do. My last pay-per-view show reached 7,000. And some of these SmackDown shows are hitting some pretty big numbers as well. So I do think the Royal Rumble's going to be the one. I'm excited for it. Hope you guys are too. Hit Row and Los Lotharios will be the next match to take place. I'd imagine Hit Row, I don't know if it'll be the next one, but Hit Row I'd imagine will beat the Los Lotharios and then go on to lose to Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. I suspect the final will be Imperium versus McIntyre and Sheamus. Hector says, realistically, couldn't AEW just put the Jay Briscoe tribute on Honor Club? Or no, they're going to. That is the plan. That and for free on YouTube. That is very much the plan. Sammy wants to talk to Roman. I get it. Sammy hasn't done anything wrong here. Hasn't done anything wrong. Sammy's a sensitive soul. A very sensitive soul. I'd love it if Roman just showed a bit of respect here. Sammy's lying. Give it up. Be a good boy. Sammy's completely right here. He had it. He was all set. It's not often Sammy gets a clean win over Kevin Owens. Roman, a good head of the table, would look after his boy right now. You had popcorn last week. Oh, sorry, week before. I'm feeling like we're going to end up with another apology here. I am feeling more and more that Sammy's going to be the one who turns first. Not fair from Roman. Not fair. That's bad tribal chiefing. LA Knight is dressed to wrestle. He's on his way down to the ring. Uncle Howdy is in attendance at SmackDown tonight. Ghost says Banger Bros are definitely going to win the tournament. Hate to say it, but Viking Raiders are the tag team division's never-ending version of Emelina. You can change their gimmick or their name, but they are just underrated and kind of misused at this point. They were briefly getting positive attention, and then it all fell apart. Literally just then. Eric says, why do you think... who do you think will pick up AW if Discovery doesn't renew? I don't know. There's a number of good options that they could have. Discovery probably will make an offer. I just don't think it'll be a big positive offer. I don't think it'll be a significant increase. Eric says, damn it. Why? I really want Los Lotharios to win. I know, mate. I know. Tom says, hey, Tom, having a party at my house for the Royal Rumble. Going to put you and the stream on another TV. See you all there. I mean, if you're having a party, mate, I don't know if I'm necessarily the right call at a party atmosphere. You might just want to talk to the people there. But I respect it. Appreciate it. Eric says, Sammy costing Roman at the Rumble. Well, I definitely don't think Roman's going to be losing any championships anytime soon, so I wouldn't say that is going to happen. Megan says, Roman's in annoyed dad mode again. He is. He very much is. Justin Check is shocked. He's shocked at the kicking out. Justin says, the best story in wrestling at the moment. Completely agree. And Sean says, did anyone see the video of Paul Heyman giving praise to a football player in the NFL? Hope Roman doesn't get mad at him for that. He won't even mention it. Why would he? Why would he? Harry wants Scotty 2 Hotty to return for a match and do the worm one final time. If so, it would be against Otis. Otis would do the caterpillar in response. It'd be pretty funny. I'm not going to lie, it'd be pretty funny, and I'd quite enjoy it, but it wouldn't be a long-term thing. We currently have 40 viewers and only the 14 likes. That's about a third of the viewers here. Please do remember, hit that thumbs up when you come in. Say hi. Welcome to the show. If you're a subscriber here, you can chat, you can ask questions, you can join in. All you got to do is press the subscribe button if you've not yet done so, and if you're enjoying the show, please do remember to do so, because we're on 2,040 subscribers right now, and we are continuing to grow. I would love to keep going towards 2,100 by month end. The Royal Rumble show, I'm sure, will have a big impact on that possibility as well. So I hope everyone's having a good time with the show today. There is plenty more to come. Another hour and a half featuring LA Knight, Bray Wyatt, very possibly Uncle Howdy, very possibly even Alexa Bliss, let's be fair. Dom says, we play a game, pick a number that you think is going to win the Rumble. Men and women, see you're already there. Right. I used to have a game with my friends when it comes to the Royal Rumble. We'd all draw 10 numbers. And anytime one of our numbers was eliminated, we'd have to drink a shot. Got crazy near the end and got so much worse when we introduced the Women's Royal Rumble. It added a lot of alcohol. Sean says, I saw New Day being Triple Crown champions is bigger than Usos being longest reigning champions. I don't necessarily agree there. After all, Usos have never been combined champions. Ghost says, will there be more female legends other than the Bella Twins on Raw is Triple X? I'm found if they're appearing, but I can't help but to want more people that also made a major impact on Raw. There are not too many that are likely. There's quite a few people who will be missing. For example, Beth Phoenix doesn't seem like she's going to be out on screen, though she will be in attendance. There are, of course, plans for her and Edge coming up. Beyond that, a lot of the names who really built the show are elsewhere now. Saraya, for example. AJ Lee's not interested. So that does very much limit who can be too involved. We may see Sable, I think. I think that would be a good call. But she's not seemed very interested in making any sort of on-screen appearance in a long time. Hector says, Roman straight up put Sammy in a corner, told him to be honest. It was safe to say Sammy might have wanted to tell a little white lie. There's a reason for that, and I think it was right to consider it, but honestly, from where I'm sitting, Roman's in the wrong there. Roman Reigns, disappointing. Sean suggests Trish Stratus or Lita. They do seem to be the ones that everyone expects and that everyone thinks will make an appearance, primarily because they're the ones who always turn up. Why not? Christoph says, would you prefer to see Sammy and KO beat the Usos at Mania or at Elimination Chamber in their hometown of Montreal? That would be magic too. It would be magic, but for me, WrestleMania is just a better story told. There's more time to get there. Elimination Chamber, the stories we have now are basically going to be what we have going into Elimination Chamber. Moxie says, would have night 1 Usos versus New Day versus RK Bro. You can't have RK Bro. That's not going to happen. Versus Street Profits in a TLC ladder match at WrestleMania for the Raw Tag Team Championship. That's just me, though. So many ladder matches. Raquel Rodriguez is on screen celebrating Texas. She is going to be in the Royal Rumble, but this is just a solo promo. Getting hyped for it. And now she's gone Spanish. That was a brief promo. So far announced for the Royal Rumble then, Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, Raquel Rodriguez and Candice LeRae. Lots of L's, lots of R's. Lots of R's in that one. Lots of R's. Liv Morgan clearly has the most compelling storyline so far of everyone who's announced for the Rumble. I'm excited to see how it plays out. LA Knight then on the way down to the ring. I expected a better response from the crowd. I think there's a restlessness whenever Uncle Howdy and Bray Wyatt have the potential to be introduced. Because you know what's coming. You know we're going to see Uncle Howdy. You know we're going to see Bray Wyatt. They are waiting for him. Hopefully tonight we get some explanation of the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. Even Michael Cole has no idea what the rules are. That's not a great start. Pinfall or submission. So we got something. We got something. Dominic says, hi Tom, is Stone Cold Steve Austin coming back for a match? I haven't heard anything on that. I know he's been training, but honestly, I don't want to see Stone Cold come back every year for WrestleMania. I just feel like we're getting stuck with it. Just a constant repetition. There are people in the crowd who are trying to what LA Knight, which is not clever. Sean says, I wouldn't mind seeing Alexa in the Rumble after the match with Bianca unless the Women's Rumble opens the show. I don't think we're going to see her in that position. We have quite a lot of women on the roster now, more than enough that we can have a championship match and still have enough people involved. Megan having a good time knowing that LA Knight's in play. Oh, congratulations, Moxie. Hope you have a good birthday planned. Tom says LA Knight does a funny Stone Cold imitation. Uh-huh. I cannot work out if LA Knight's supposed to be a good guy or a bad guy. He's up against a local talent. Naturally, the local talent doesn't have much choice, much chance here. Unless, of course, LA Knight is firmly distracted by Uncle Howdy. I'm confident that's a Howdy insignia rather than a Bray Wyatt insignia after all. Ghost says, why are some people able to declare their spot in the Rumble while others have to earn their spot? Considering there's only a week left with a lot of space to fill, either a lot of people are going to declare, there'll be more qualifying matches, or people are just going to pop up without declaring at all. A lot of the final one there. A lot of the final option. Sean says, Becky wins a cage match on Raw? Probably, yeah. That makes the most sense for me. We're going Firefly Funhouse. This is going nowhere fast. It's Abby the Witch. Which naturally at this point has become a reference to Alexa Bliss. Let's see who the voice actress is. We're largely just being reintroduced to who are going to end up being the Wyatt Six here. The insignia over the butt crack is a nice touch. Big response from the crowd for the Firefly Funhouse. Not sure why. Christoph says, I was surprised to see LA Knight is already 40. Thought he was younger than that. I don't understand what's happening. And I'm losing the ability to care. I do expect that LA Knight is going to be one of the Wyatt Six. They've made references to Huskus the Pig before and called LA Knight Little Pig. Interesting split on messages here. Sean says, I still don't get why everyone wanted Liv to be Abby. It didn't fit her. Eric says, I want Liv to be part of the Wyatt Six. I don't think it fits Liv Morgan at all either, no. Kieran says, is this all Wyatt's idea? Maybe he's not as creative as everyone thought. This has been so boring so far. I agree with that. There's been a couple of good moments, but I'm not intrigued by the story. It's self-indulgent. For me, it's just too much. It's just one of those where Bray isn't exactly setting the world on fire. And now we have Uncle Howdy. Which I none of this makes any sort of sense. And until some of it actually hits home, it's just not going to appeal. Another oink oink there. This Bray Wyatt is not as different as he should be from the previous Bray Wyatt. Uncle Howdy simply replaced the Fiend concept. This is nothing new. We're treading water. I know I'm not necessarily in the majority when it comes to this particular opinion, but it feels like all of this is just wasting as much time as possible. He's been back for 3 months and he's done nothing. Literally nothing. It sure looks like Asuka will be returning to the WWE for the Women's Royal Rumble. She is appearing in the graphics now, as one of very few people already confirmed. Ghost says, this is what I was worried about a few weeks back. I'm trying to be patient and have hope, but the Bray Wyatt story has run stale. Uncle Howdy is the most somewhat intriguing part, and that's being generous because it's just all so confusing. I agree. Nothing is gripping me. Nothing is interesting for me. It just, as much as anything, I don't trust them to stick the landing if they ever get to the landing, because I don't believe that Bray Wyatt has ever actually finished telling a single story in his entire time in the WWE. It's always long and convoluted, and there's so many steps involved that he never actually gets there in time. My concern is the exact same thing's going to happen. Hector says, last week we had Cult Bray, this week we had the Firefly Funhouse, so next we'll see the Fiend in some iteration, could be a safe bet. I agree, Hector. I agree. We're going through the greatest hits of Bray Wyatt past. Literally the ghosts of past, present, future. But, after all, it's all about Howdy. It's not even about him. Which is somehow even worse. Bray Wyatt comes back and starts talking about other people. Megan says, I hope this isn't Vince's creative decisions coming back in. No, I can say categorically, this was already planned, this was already booked, this was already confirmed. Bray Wyatt is telling the exact story that he wants to tell. The exact story that he wants to tell, alongside, of course, Rob Thee, who's working with him for the long-term storylines. Vince McMahon is a big fan of Bray Wyatt, but he's not involved at all in this particular bit of storytelling. Kieran says, maybe the stories will move faster after the Rumble. I don't see it. I think after the Rumble with LA Knight, we'll see someone new feuding to basically get us to WrestleMania. Maybe someone like Karrion Kross. I don't necessarily think Karrion Kross is going to make WrestleMania on the card, but if he does, it'll be with someone like Bray Wyatt. And then that person will be the member of the Wyatt Six as well. And it just... we're not going anywhere. It feels like we hit a dead end a long time ago. Dom says LA Knight's finisher looks like a bad stunner. They've only been promoting Uncle Howdy. They have. LA Knight's in a great position right now. He's getting a lot of attention, got a lot of eyes on him, and Bray Wyatt's the one making that happen. But at the same time, he's not coming out of this looking great. He's absolutely not coming out of this in any sort of positive position. He's losing badly. Carmelina says Roman was very harsh to Sami. He was. Felt unfair to me. And Ghost says not everything needs to be repeated. Alexa should not be in this Uncle Howdy web at this point. Bray's story is not a cohesive piece, and the story itself seems to have lost its meaning completely. Yes, it does. I also don't entirely understand how Bray Wyatt has not already seen what Uncle Howdy is doing with Alexa Bliss. I know it's happening on the other channel, but you're Bray Wyatt. Surely you'd be tracking what Uncle Howdy gets up to. Moxie could see Cross being the Fiend. Christoph says fans have to be patient with Bray. I know it's slow, kind of boring at times, but I'm sure it's going to lead to something awesome. We've been told that since the second he debuted in 2013. We're now at the point where it's nearly 10 years of just wait, it's going to be good, and it wasn't. Tom says that would bury Cross even more if him and Scarlett face the Wyatts. I agree. Not many people are going to come out of this smelling like roses, I tell you. Harry says, do you think Uncle Howdy will make an appearance during the Mountain Dew match? Honestly, I don't, but I do think he'll make an appearance during the Women's Championship match. Hector says, my issue with the Bray comeback is it started so hot with the QR codes, vignettes, and his big return, but they've not got to get the momentum back. They've now got to get the momentum back somehow. Not sure how they'll get there, but guess we'll wait and see. The momentum has entirely stalled. Bray Wyatt has frozen in place, and we need a shot in the arm to really get him going again. Sean says, do you think Devon will be in AEW as a producer or as a coach since he left WWE? I'm sure there'll be job offers, but at the same time, AEW don't really need anyone. I think it's a sign of how things are going with Hit Row that there was little to no actual response from the crowd there. In fact, Los Lothario's Hit Row, lots of movement in the crowd. Nobody really seems particularly invested in this match. The better matches are clearly still to come. Hard to say, Moxie. But I definitely think LA Knight has been earmarked for Huskus the Pig. Ghost says the return has been better than the storyline following it. The Bray storyline can best be described as watching a 3-hour movie that ends with no answers and numerous cliffhangers. Yeah, it's like watching all those different endings on Return of the King from 2001, and you just sat there thinking, okay, this is it, okay, no. Okay, this is it, no, that one. Eventually, this story will end. We've just got to have it actually happen now. I'm honestly willing it forwards just to try and get across the line, which is not where I expect it to be. I'm a big Bray Wyatt fan, but this has just not been there. Top Dollar, of course, as a heel, is making a target for Michael Cole. If you're going to emulate someone, emulate Bayley. We only have 10 minutes until the second hour draw segment, which, once again, I imagine will feature Charlotte Flair, especially with Bray Wyatt already having featured in the first hour. So this match is unlikely to last particularly long. After all, the whole point is establishing the bad guys as the bad guys. Okay, I like the tearaway pants. There's no downside to that. That was well played. I'm surprised I didn't get more of a pop from the crowd, because people will have forgotten. Oh, lovely. Some very nice wrestling there. It's a shame the crowd aren't too focused right now, because there is some good stuff happening. Los Lotharios at the moment sort of remind me of the Colognes way back when, in that they were very, very talented, high flyers with good technical skills who just weren't used. They just absolutely were not used in any way, shape or form. We have just hit 20 likes. Thank you kindly everyone so far. Be sure to hit that thumbs up as best you can, as many times as you can. Just the once actually. Just the once. Hit Row have picked up the win. And they are off to the next round. Los Lotharios rolled up in very short order after what seemed to be a good showing. Yes, as I was saying, please remember to hit like. And if you like what we do here, hit subscribe as well. We are continuing to grow and I can only thank everyone for it. Very close to 1,000 views, 22 likes. And when it comes to subscribers, we've gained a few more. We started the show in 2040. We're now in 2044. Not too many. And we should be in the region of 2050. Top Dollar just really struggled to rip up a Hit Row sign. Because he's a bad guy now. Just in case you didn't know, he's a bad guy now. They are using the branding for Cody Rhodes of all roads lead to the Royal Rumble. Several months ago, I coined the phrase, all roads lead to Reigns. Expect to hear a lot of that in the near future. That was a report. Go says I've already read that one. Moxie says, look how good Los Lotharios would get. This would be so... I just need to take a minute and read that again, Moxie. Try and work out what you're trying to say. I'm guessing you're trying to say it'd be a good match versus the Usos, which I agree with. Harry says, I hope Uncle Howdy attacks Bray Wyatt. I'm sure he will. Uncle Howdy is there to be the punishment for Bray Wyatt. But that's true of every story. That's what The Fiend was supposed to be, the punishment for Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt's whole thing is someone needs to punish me because I'm a bad boy. It always has been, and it's the same story. Christoph says Bray's last run was buried by Vince. It absolutely wasn't. Squashed by Oldberg, beat by Orton with one RKO, not to mention how weirdly Lexi turned on him. Was not buried by Vince in any way, shape or form. Vince McMahon was incredibly supportive of the Bray Wyatt storyline. But yes, he did make choices which did unduly affect Bray Wyatt. What I will say is that the Firefly Funhouse match people remember so fondly, that was the positive at the end of the Goldberg match. And Vince McMahon basically said to Bray Wyatt, do whatever you want and we'll pay for it on our dime. The WrestleMania match, the last match for Bray Wyatt, real confusing. I'm sure they were meaning to do something, but real confusing. They should never have moved into SmackDown in the first place. A lot went wrong. They are hyping us up in a big way for the return of Cody Rhodes. We even got to see the dog, which I'm a very happy boy about. It is a hell of a story overall, and there's a reason they're not putting Cody in front of the cameras just yet. They want you to miss him just a little bit more, so that when he does arrive at the Royal Rumble, he gets a pop. And he's going to. The surgery car's pretty cool, let's be fair. So one of the worst kept secrets in wrestling has gotten out. And I say gotten out because literally at Hell in a Cell I say exactly what the plan was going to be from here on. The moment he picked up the injury, they made this decision. And the second they made that decision, I shared it live on a Hell in a Cell watch party. Cody Rhodes will return to the WWE for the Royal Rumble, and he is coming for the WWE Championship. Charlotte Flair is up next after the commercial break for our draw segment. Sean says, does anyone believe the leak of the cover of 2K23? If that is a true cover, I can see many being disappointed. I don't believe that John Cena is the present for the WWE. I don't really believe that that the WWE wants to be represented by John Cena anymore. It doesn't really fit If anyone's going to be on the cover, it'll be a Roman Reigns. It'll be a Bianca Belair. It'll be a Drew McIntyre. It's not going to be John Cena. I feel confident on that. Ghost says, I wish Cody would have had a return package like Triple H did in 2007. That would be perfect. I'm pretty happy with the videos that it's been having. Got some good stuff. And Megan says, 100% would love to pet Pharaoh. He is a beautiful dog. I'm surprised he doesn't have a neck tattoo of his own. Maybe he do. Maybe he do. Just before the end of the first hour, we have broken 1,000 views on the show. We are on 1,158. Thank you kindly, everyone who's giving me the time, who's giving me the chat, and who's joining me for a Smackdown, which is mostly tag teams, and I worry there's going to be no women's matches. I think we're going to get 4 tag team matches and then the contract signing, and I think that's it. Maybe we'll get Sonya Deville versus Charlotte Flair this week just to give us a women's match. Because I'm slightly concerned. Slightly concerned. Megan says it's probably on his collar or scarf. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Ghost says, I believe that the cover may be real based on the video Austin Theory posted on social media. If not, Cena will at least be the star of the showcase, even though there has been rumours of it being Edge. Different rumours from different sources, some of which are at least somewhat credible. Some of which are not so much, but I don't know. Cena still seems too fresh, but not fresh enough to be the present. He's in a bit of a limbo state at the moment. Somewhat confusing. It's one of those things I don't really know how to process, you know? But we'll see how it plays out. It's one of those things where I'm lacking in direct information from 2K. It's just not an area that I've ever been really connected. As much as I'd love to change that, I don't really have the backing of a big company in order to do so. So we'll see how it plays out and what actually happens with it. We are back just in time for our draw segment, halfway through SmackDown. So far the wrestling has been high quality. Bray Wyatt continues to be a little bit disappointing. Braun Strowman is now backstage, talking about Royal Rumble. It is at least starting to feel like we're building to the Royal Rumble. Because Vince McMahon returning, it took a lot of steam out of that train. A lot of steam taken out of that train. Megan says, I'm surprised if it turns out to be true about Cena. He was the focus of the special edition of 2K18 for his 15th anniversary. So for him to be the focus again so soon is a little odd. I agree. I agree. It makes very little sense to me. The field for the men's Royal Rumble is starting to fill out. Nice to see names like Omos popping up in there as well. A negative reaction to Charlotte Flair already. Maybe because one person was really happy there and he stood out. I don't know how long they're going to be able to keep her face. I really don't. Crowds do not like her. Megan says 14 out of 30 for the men now. Curiously, also a 14-time champion walking down to the ring. Good timing. Girl says, considering Ray was a cover star last year, I wouldn't cross out the possibility. I just know Edge would be a little more tricky to have as a star in the showcase based on how many wrestlers contracted to AEW are major factors in his career. True. I'm sure they get some good stuff out of Kurt Angle, for example, John Cena naturally, Randy Orton. But people like Christian, huge part of Edge's career, unmentionable. I miss Charlotte's old theme. I'm not going to hide it. It was a bop. I used to do the bop to it. It was great. Our first mention of Ronda Rousey tonight, who I'm not expecting to see. We're getting a recap of everything with Sonya Deville, which, to be fair, is very little. Sean says, I saw the Austin Theory video. He's swinging a chair at an invisible man. Logically, then, it has to be Cena. Has to be. Megan says Charlotte's old theme was great. When I went out for walks, helps me set a good pace. Oh, Harry says hope B-Fab versus Zelina Vega happens soon. Not one I've really considered, but I'd quite like to see it. Eric says, who do you think the Wyatt Six are? My prediction is Bray, Bo, Alexa, Joe Gacy, Grayson Waller, and Roxanne Perez. I definitely don't see Roxanne Perez involved in this in any way, shape, or form. Definitely not. Andrew Quinn says, guaranteed the Fiend will face LA Knight at the Rumble. When Bray said, you've opened the door to something, you don't know what it will be. I'm not keen on the idea, but I'd like to move on from it all and get to like a new version of the Bray Wyatt character. It's just not happening. Kieran says, I think it is Cena. Austin Theory put out an ad tweet where he was hitting no one with a chair suggesting it's Cena. Dom says, I think it was going to be a Bloodline 2K. Roman was on there before with Becky. Yes, he was, but Cena's also been on the cover before. Not really surprised. Harry says, hope a big pop happens in the men's Royal Rumble. Probably, yeah. It's Cody Rhodes. People have got his back. Kieran says, Cena's getting the showcase mode just like Ray did when he was a cover star. Those are the rumours, that has not been confirmed. And Harry says, I say 2K23 cover star is not Cena because it might be Cody Rhodes or Finn Balor. It won't be Finn Balor in any way, shape or form. Dom says, maybe Charlotte on the cover. I find that unlikely. Honestly, the obvious choices would be Roman and Ronda. Christoph says, can't wait to hear Cody's music hit next Saturday. The Alamo Dome will explode. And that's why, as I say, he's been kept out of, kept away from in front of the camera. Sonya Deville being classic heel here. Trying to ensure that Charlotte Flair remains a face. Fair shout, Kieran. Kieran says they should just make a cover like GTA's and have 8 or 9 different stars. I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it, especially with the graphic style. Christoph says, made Charlotte babyface, but the title on her is the worst booking idea Triple H has had thus far, in my humble opinion. Carmelina says, who do you think is going to be there for the acknowledgement ceremony on Monday? I'd imagine Rikishi's going to be there. There's only actually a few people who've made appearances as the Bloodline, and they've all been seen before. Hector says, in your opinion, Tom, is WWE shoehorning Bray into gimmick matches more of an indication of Bray, how they feel about him, or a combo of both? They are not shoehorning him into anything. He has made the decision that he wanted a special type of match. They just stuck a sponsor on it. You've got to remember that Bray Wyatt has an element of creative control built into his contract. I reported on that a while back in September. He's taking advantage of that, and the booking team are just sort of leaving him to it. Gotcha, Sean. Thank you for clarifying. Go says, I feel like it's time for a female showcase such as Trish or Lita. If not, the return of the Road to WrestleMania mode would be great. I'd like it to be Mickie James, if I'm honest. I think a Mickie James showcase would go a long way. But yeah, Trish is a good shout. Give me a China showcase. Just give me China versus basically all of the women from nowadays. Yes, Sean, Wild Samoans. I admittedly forgot their name. Sika. That's the generation. I know a lot of people are reading The Rock, but I don't believe he's ever been head of the table before. Like, he can try, but he doesn't have that connection to anyone. I'm more likely to see Nia Jax. We're not going to see Nia Jax. Charlotte Flair's trying to deny Sonya Deville an opportunity. And she's controlling the crowd very well, Charlotte. Okay. It's sounding like we are getting a women's match. No, Sonya's going to dock it, isn't he? Sonya's going to walk off. Sonya's going to abandon it so Charlotte can be the face. Yep. She's not wrong. No championship on the line. Why would you bother? Adam Pearce making an appearance. What disappoints me here is that you could do so much with Sonya Deville, and this is actually a decent opportunity for her. But the cheap shots, the constant tapping out, it's not really working out for me. I do feel like she's always better as a heel, though. Just want to say that. Andrew Quinn says WWE Raw have changed. Take his pick again from the hat and jacket to his badass version for Raw 30th. Would make sense also. There's more surprises planned for the Rumble. WWE have kept quiet. Yeah. And hopefully some journalists actually try and help them on this instead of trying desperately to get the clickbait. Let's have a couple of surprises, you know? Paul Heyman with some anti-Sami Zayn rhetoric there. Dom says, I wish we could have seen Paige's stable versus the Riot Squad. Could have been like the Shield versus the Wyatt family at that time. The closest we came was the Women's Tag Team Championship debut match in the Elimination Chamber. Really good match. Oh, Christoph is suggesting the head shrinkers could be involved. Like I say, I expect Rikishi. Paul Heyman is hyping up the rest of the show. Hector says, as much as I enjoy Sonya's work, if Ronda is currently not around, why not have Shayna in this spot? Would make sense storyline wise since she's Ronda's close ally. I do agree with that. I'm not going to be annoyed at Sonya getting this opportunity, as you might expect, but it would certainly help Shayna if she was in the spot instead. Paul Heyman saying some real weird stuff. Not much of it makes sense. And now they're trying to sell me belts. We still have 2 tag team matches for the Tag Team Championship tournament. We have not seen much yet of the Usos. We will have the contract signing. I am still, once again, very curious if we get a women's match, because so far, yeah, we've had a women's segment. No women's match. Nothing yet from Liv Morgan. Nothing yet from Gunter, for example. I'd imagine he'll come down and support Imperium, though. Haven't seen people like Ricochet as of yet. And, of course, most tellingly, no Ronda Rousey. No sign of her whatsoever so far. The report that Ronda Rousey might not be at the Royal Rumble seems like it's gaining steam considering she's not been anywhere. Sean says Tom wants that $7,000 Fiend Championship. Absolutely not. I have not seen an uglier belt than that in a very, very long time. Like, there are some ugly championships, but that one was literally just a mask on a piece of leather. Like, I don't even get if you're trying to go, like, a bit BDSM. It's just bad. Ghost says, I have to admit that I'm a little tired of the DX returns. I wish we had more people pop up rather than just whoever's available backstage. We do seem to see a DX reunion every single year. And I get it, they were a big deal. They weren't that big a deal. Like, I'd rather an Evolution return. That'd be great. Everyone just hits their moves on someone, beats them up. But my worry is we'll get exactly what we always get. My worry is that Judgment Day are going to get beaten up by DX. And they're going to have to sell real hard for them. As we've seen so many times before, when the legends return and make everyone nowadays look crap. Because you can't hang like we did. So why would people watch your show? There's not going to be a Shield reunion show. I'm not going to lie, I would love it if Jon Moxley was in the Royal Rumble. Just in there with Seth Rollins. I'd probably have him win it if that was the case. But it's not going to happen. I've seen a lot of Shield reunions over the years, as you know. Dom says it'll be cool if Asuka's back with a new character wins a chamber and fixes the loss versus Charlotte at WrestleMania. It would be. She's not going to. She's not going to. James Welcome says apparently The Rock ain't/won't be fit enough for WrestleMania. James, I've had full details of the current status of The Rock for the Royal Rumble and for WrestleMania on my YouTube channel as we speak. Earlier today we had spoiler warning where I discussed that very topic. We have ourselves a Lacey Evans vignette. Apparently she is the weapon. It'd be kind of awkward if her new nickname is Lacey the Weapon Evans. Really putting a lot of focus on this camel clutch. It just means more wrestlers are going to have to tap. When every one of your top women has submission finishes, all of them are just going to be constantly tapping out. And no Harry, no sign of Rey Mysterio as of yet. Still plenty of time. And Christoph says, no Ronda. I'm so disappointed. Next up we have the Brawling Brutes. Butch and Ridge Holland take on Imperium's Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. I didn't realise the Brawling Brutes had actual Brawling Brutes music. I'm pretty sure you could just describe it as it's Irish and you'll know exactly what it is already. I'm pretty sure Butch isn't even in the video. Nice to see Sheamus giving him a pep talk before they came out. Nice to just have a little reminder that he's technically their backup. Now, of course, he's gone on to a bigger friend in Drew McIntyre. Glad to hear he hasn't forgotten about him entirely. James says, we'll have a look. Kind of don't want him back. I feel like it's just going to be slow and boring like most of the returns. Eric says, imagine number 30 for the men. It's Sammy left in the ring. I hear voices in my head. You won't. Again, I need to be very clear. He's not back. That's not happening. There will be no sign of Randy Orton for a while yet. Sean says at least Lacey is evolving her moveset. Lacey has a very diverse moveset. The range that she has is quite impressive. And it's very different from those around her. So I've never really been that concerned about her range. Gunter also not heading down to the ring, similar to Sheamus. Letting the tag teams really work it. I can't imagine this getting more than 15 minutes. There will be a middle of the second hour draw segment. Go says, I definitely see Sergeant Slaughter coming into play now. After all, the Cobra Clutch is his move. It is, and let's be fair, he is on Twitter right now talking to Lacey Evans as best he can to try and make that payday happen. Hector says, is the implication here that Ronda has just decided to go a different path than the women's title? If so, that's an odd decision by Ronda. I guess she cares more about her friend than titles, which honestly I applaud. Yeah, 100%. I did say a while back when Ronda returned, she wanted a tag team championship run with Shayna Baszler. She wanted to try and get Shayna Baszler over. And to be fair, if she's not going to be there very long, she hasn't got really that much longer left to do so. So she kind of needs to get on with it. Moxie thinks it might be Brawling Brutes versus Banger Bros at the end. Megan says the Shane Brandy will miss the Rumble. Seems to have a lot of fun in those matches. He does. No moment more so than that time when he hit an RKO on Nia Jax. He was a happy boy that day. Dominic says, hi Tom. Just saw Lacey Evans do a Cobra Clutch. Does this mean Sergeant Slaughter has come back? It doesn't mean that, no, but it's also not impossible. No, Eric, that situation is very much changed. Christoph says, as a nostalgic old school fan, I will never get bored of a DX reunion. I've been bored of them for a long time. Harry says, hope Judgment Day doesn't interrupt The Undertaker or attack The Undertaker. They won't. The Undertaker, he's not going to be walking down as a dead man, getting involved in a match, etc., etc. It's not going to happen. The Undertaker is formally and completely retired. And honestly, if he changes his mind on that, I'm going to be real upset all over again. Sean says, after all, Sergeant Slaughter could have given Lacey permission to use his move. He did. He did that. Much as Stone Cold Steve Austin gave Kevin Owens permission to use the Stone Cold Stunner. Sometimes the logical option is the correct one. Very much so. We are approaching just the 40 minutes left, which would put us 2/3 of the way through SmackDown. It's been okay so far. It's nice to see some focus on the tag team division. You don't get a lot of focus on tag team division anymore, so it's nice to have that. That said, it has sort of swallowed up the whole show. There's not a lot of difference and diversity in the actual wrestling matches happening. They're all tag team matches. There's a little bit of intrigue with the Bloodline, but not much. There's a little bit of intrigue with Bray Wyatt, but not much. This very much feels like a show built around one concept. And that, of course, is our tournament. James says, WWE should do segments where legends hand over their crest/legacy or something to newer wrestlers, which leads to pushes/blue chip safety in the company. No, that's absolutely true. But there's a lot of times that they do that. I remember when Jon Moxley was about to go up against Brock Lesnar and he got the barbed wire baseball bat from Mick Foley and things like that. The passing of the torch moment happens quite a lot. Tom says, where's Shinsuke? And hit that subscribe button or we have 5 words for you. You just made the list. Wow. Shinsuke is on creative hiatus. They have no real plans to use him at the moment, so they're waiting until they come up with something a bit better. I suspect when we see Boogs back is when we'll see Nakamura back. Carmelina says, can let the Usos got the okay from Dudley Boys to do the 1D. Absolutely correct. Absolutely. Oft forgotten, but Usos asked for permission for their 1D. You gotta respect that D. You guys all know this. You've got to respect that D. It's like the first rule of anything. If you respect the D, you know you can make it. Sean says, who remembers a promo Ali cut on the Legends? Well, to be fair, long term, didn't quite work out for him, did it? Didn't quite work out. And that's a real shame for someone that talented to be so heavily thrown to the sidelines. We are currently on 2,049 subscribers. One more, just one more, to 2,050. If you've not subscribed yet, please do consider it. To 2,050 shows that we have started the year in a very, very strong place. So please consider. Moxie says, who remembers Retribution and how bad it was? It had some okay moments. When they chainsawed the ring, when they locked that guy in the bathroom, which is funny because he was in the bathroom, so he was just staying there anyway. It very much worked and was needed just to make it a little bit more exciting the performance center error that they had. Someone's got to wreck stuff. But it lost momentum very quickly. They didn't do anything of note, and it just all sort of died a death. Ridge Holland working against Ludwig Kaiser here. Seems to be having a great time with it. Again, the crowd are not the most invested. These guys main evented Survivor Series. Butch and Ridge Holland. But yeah, I can't say people are that interested. Sean says, just like Seth asked Triple H to use the pedigree. He did, and to be fair, that was actually Triple H offering. You see, the curb stomp had just been banned, and Seth was like, well, what do I do then? At which point Triple H was like, just use the pedigree, just use this. Ghost says, KO may have also gotten permission from Jeff Hardy to use a swanton, but then again, that's become a more common move. He didn't need permission from that. Ultimately, Jeff Hardy's swanton is just a senton with a split leg. That's all it is. The senton is a pretty standard wrestling move. You just open your legs before it. Moxie said they kind of thought Roman was going to be the leader of it. There was a few people that thought Roman was going to be the leader of Retribution. I still have no idea why. No idea. Sean says, could it be that the fans don't know who these teams are? They will definitely know who these two are. I mean, once again, two of them main evented Survivor Series. In War Games. Like, they know them. They're just not that interested in them. Unfortunately. Eric says, do you think they'll call up Ava Raine for the acknowledgement ceremony? No. She's never been the head of any table. Oh. Beautiful moonsault. Really looked devastating there. James says, I mean, like how those passing of the torches last for like a few months. I mean, a permanent imprint into their name, if that makes sense. I mean, maybe? But they tend to move away from that, otherwise we get Braun Steiner. Justin says The Rock will be at the Rumble, in my opinion. Way too many teasers at this point. Teasers? Or is it just that they know that people really expect The Rock, so they're playing up to it? With a lot of the stuff like videos about The Rock's greatest hits going up on YouTube, they're going to make a lot of money from that because people are going to look for it. People are going to look at it as a hint. People are going to look at it as a tease. People are going to share it constantly. It's just a very clever way to very easily make money. Christoph says, a lot of negative feedback on Twitter about Hogan being on Raw. I know he brought this on himself with some comments, but it's sad. It's not sad. The guy's a racist. He should not be on our TV screens. Harry says, hope a Brothers of Destruction reunion might happen at Raw. And little NWO reunion without Kevin Nash. Not just without Kevin Nash. No outsiders. It's not really the NWO without the outsiders. Ooh. Oh. Sorry guys, I'm having a bit of an issue with my rib today. Oh, no, I've got worse. Okay. Hector says, I stepped away and saw on Twitter that Paul Heyman's Roman segment, and wow, Paul Heyman really hitting Roman with some truths, and I loved every second of it. Paul Heyman's there, to be honest. He is, after all, the wise man. The crowd very impressed by the teamwork between Imperium there. I can't see Pete Dunne recovering easily from that one. Imperium going for the win here. That's it. And if you had Brawling Brutes versus Banger Bros, you will be sorely disappointed. Imperium pick up the win. They advance to the next stage. And I've got to say, Banger Bros versus Imperium makes the most sense to me. The deadlift brainbuster was very impressive. Sean says, does anyone have to ask to use a super kick? It's more of a common move now. No. It was a common move before Shawn Michaels started using it. People stopped using it because Shawn Michaels was using it. But it was a common move beforehand. The remaining two teams are Maximum Male Models, who I believe are missing a man, and Legado del Fantasma, who I can see going through because Maximum Male Models are missing a man. Logically, Banger Bros versus Imperium is the only choice at this point. Ghost says, personally, I would love to see more divas showing up, such as Eve, Melina, Alicia Fox, Jillian, and Layla, or even factions like the Nation of Domination rather than the same people over and over again. A lot of the people in question there, not that invested themselves. Paul Heyman has found Sami Zayn backstage. There's a resolve in Sammy's eyes. He's not scared anymore. If anything, he's just annoyed by all the dramatics. I think another apology may be coming. Hector says it's really sad that Jamal and Rosie couldn't be here for this Bloodline story because there's a great chance we'd get 3-minute warning versus the Usos. We absolutely would not be doing that. They'd be long retired. But I get what you're saying. Sean says, I'm sure that win by Imperium broke many people's bracket. Not mine. Not mine. Dominic says, last question. Is Sheamus going to challenge Roman anytime soon? Thank you. No. The moment has been missed. There's no real point in trying it now. And it's a shame because I feel that championship match was ready, willing, and, if you'll forgive the pun, ready, willing, and Sheamus. That doesn't work. That doesn't work in any way, shape, or form. Or any way, shape, or Drew. Nope, still doesn't work. Every now and then you have to face a reality that maybe you're just not very funny. Maybe you're just not very funny. Who knows? We have just broken 2,000 views. Massive thank you to everyone who's watching at the moment, everyone who's dipped in or dipped out, and everyone who's stuck around, of course. 2005 views so far. These watch parties are turning into their own damn thing. And they are growing at a huge pace. It is one of the main reasons the channel is soaring as it does, and we continue to see higher and higher numbers in these watch parties. Thank you everyone who pops by. Even if you don't watch, spoiler warning, quite a few people literally just come here for these watch parties now, and I very much appreciate all of you that turn up, that watch with me, and that keep me company during the dark winter days. Sean says, ready, willing, and Gable. What does that mean? What does that mean? Ready, willing, and Sheamus. You all know how this works. You all know how it works. Justin says, Sammy called to the principal's office. Christoph says, don't get me wrong about Hogan. When I say sad, it's because he's still the most iconic name in the business. But I agree with you on the racist part. Of course, it's unacceptable. Yeah, it's completely unacceptable. Also, when it comes to most iconic name, I would debate that. The Rock and John Cena have very much overtaken him for me. Justin says, I'm noticing a distinct lack of shiniest wizard at the moment. We've had no women's match. It looks like we're not going to get any women's match. The only choice now, the only way we will see Tegan Nox is if she's about to declare for the Royal Rumble. Now, I don't necessarily think that's unlikely. Let's be fair. A lot going on about the Royal Rumble at the minute. A lot of people after it. A lot of people. We have a half hour left, most of which will be dominated by the contract signing. The remaining match is a tag team match between Maximum Male Models and who was it? I've lost track. I'm lost. Legado del Fantasma. Which I can only see Legado advancing, because Imperium versus Legado is going to be a hell of a match. Moxie wants me to declare for the Rumble. I mean, I don't hate the concept. I don't hate the concept. Shayna Baszler is backstage. Ready to declare. I don't hate the eye makeup. I'm not going to lie, I would love it if Shayna Baszler won this year. A win for Shayna Baszler, straight into a championship feud with Charlotte. I just don't know if someone wins and challenges Charlotte, I don't necessarily think you're coming away with that belt. Eric says, do you think Chris handed the code breaker to Liv? No. It's not a code breaker. Liv Morgan's move is different. Bless. There's always one, isn't there? There's always one little troll trying his luck. Sean says, Stephanie Delando debuted at tonight's Impact tapings. Fair enough. They're getting quite a few people in at the moment, Impact, and they're doing quite well with them. Not the music I expected for, you know, Raw is War. A rip-off of I'm Blue Dabba Dee Dabba Die. Megan says she should have won in 2020. Would be nice if she won now, but I'm going Rhea. Certainly a lot of momentum behind Rhea Ripley. I mean, we got a bit of Vince McMahon. We got the 1-2-3 kid, if you remember that kid. Wonder what happened to that guy. Another Vince McMahon moment. Oh God, celebrities. A bit of sexual chocolate. Yeah, sure, they own the footage, why wouldn't they? It's a big moment. Go says, quite contradicting. The song says I'm blue, but Raw's always been represented by red. Does it say blue? Because I'm pretty sure it's just a whole retelling of it. A celebration of Big E, who is due back sometime soon. We're not too far off at this point. The bedpan. I know it's another appearance of Vince McMahon. I should be annoyed at it, but the bedpan, it's the bedpan. What's not to like? Big return moments for The Rock, Triple H, Cody, of course. More Ric Flair. Hector says, if Cody does win the Rumble, imagine the potential participants in a SmackDown Elimination Chamber match. Sheamus, Gunter, Drew, Karrion, KO, and Ray. Megan says she's saying, I'm good, not I'm blue, but the song does sound a lot like Eiffel 65's. It's the same song. It's the same one. Of course, Dean was shown. They don't hide that wrestlers used to work there that don't anymore. They don't hide that anymore. Oh look, it's Chris Jericho. They're just picking out big moments. They don't care who's doing what. Even a bit of Daniel Bryan. Christoph says Triple M reminds me of the Body Donners. The only good thing about them is their lovely manager. Just a lot to unpack there. A lot to unpack. The Beer Bath, another appearance for Mr. McMahon. Certainly it all seems to be about Vince at the moment. Eric says, who do you think is the best dynasty family in WWE history? The Rhodes. Do you mean the Anoa'i family? The Harts or the Pullman family? I was going to go Orton's personally. Can't forget that. It is the usual suspects. Farouk always pops up. The Godfather, Undertaker, Teddy Long. It's the usual suspects. There's nothing new here. We have Scarlett and Karrion Kross backstage in a boiler room. Next week, of course, is a match with Rey Mysterio. Just a lot of clocks. Very strange lighting when it comes to Karrion Kross. He definitely lives in his own universe, but he doesn't really gel very well with anyone's universe. Especially when you've got him in a suit normally. This is all very confusing. I do feel sometimes that when they brought in Karrion Kross, they were mainly focused on getting Scarlett in. Feels like a bad thing to say, but definitely true. Ghost says, Naomi just debunked a claim on Twitter if you'd like to take a look. Sure, Ghost, I'll check that out. And Bailey says, is Kross at risk if this run doesn't work out? It depends what you mean by at risk. Certainly if things don't improve for him, people are going to start asking questions. Right. Trinity Fatu. So she's completely said that Sean Ross Sapp is lying. So she's taken Sean Sapp's report and just... I always like it when wrestlers do this. I always like it when wrestlers come out and say, this just isn't true. My expectation is that in the next couple of days, Sean Sapp will come out and say, yeah, it is. She's lying. And then just bury his head. And in the comments, we immediately have people saying, that's not even close to what he reported. It's exactly what he reported. Honestly. Thanks, Ghost. I appreciate that. It's always good to know what people are actually going for. Hector says, it's so cool Bray's dad is going to be on Raw. Good for him. Sean says, does this mean she isn't coming back? Not necessarily, no. It just means that the report that she's looking at is not true. There's a lot of different moving parts. Moxie says, even if Kross wins the Rumble, he won't. He would get squashed by Roman. He would, and that's why he's not going to win the Rumble. We're not going to put him in there. Dominic Perez misses the old Vince McMahon. I do not. Eric says, do you think we see E back before Mania? No. Dom liked Kross's character in NXT better. I just don't feel they've really hit the landing as they were looking for when it comes to the main roster. At no point has he seemed particularly comfortable. Eric says they don't hide people who used to work there unless you're Billy Gunn. What do you mean? What do you mean? They're not hiding him. They just can't get the deal over the line. They've not been able to make a deal that involves Billy Gunn coming in. Regardless, there's definitely some requests they're not comfortable with, I'll say that. Dom says, what happened to Zelina? She was just the queen of the ring, now she's just a manager. She can still wrestle, she just chooses not to at this point in time. She is a manager, she is a leader, she is exactly what she was for Andrade, for Angel Garza, for Austin Theory for a while. Sometimes you just got to recognize people's skills, and she's a very, very smooth talker. I don't think it's a bad place to be honest. We are heading into the final 20 minutes, so I'm going to do one final push. I know it annoys you guys after a while, so I'm just going to make this the last one. Please remember to hit like on the video. Every thumbs up makes a massive difference. If you're watching on Twitch, as mic'd up Dylan indeed is, remember to hit follow as well for more watch-alongs, spoiler warning shows, and of course the Royal Rumble show next week. If you're watching on YouTube, please remember to subscribe. Every little does help, and we are growing at a tremendous rate because of the efforts of all of you to hit that like and to chat away. So at the moment we've gone up to 2,052 subscribers, which is a very good number that I'm very, very happy about. The more, the merrier. I just want to spread the word that we do very good shows here and we have a great, great time. Sean says, think it's possible JR was contacted about appearing for Raw 30. It certainly is possible. When it comes to the big tribute shows, the big anniversary shows, Jim Ross does tend to make his appearances, but I'm pretty confident he won't be showing up this year. We have an apron full of 3 very beautiful people. And on commentary, even more. There's just a very, very attractive group of people in the ring right now. And they know it. Marseille is literally sticking his bum out for us. Zelina Vega has announced for the Royal Rumble. You were just asking about the wrestling. There you go. I don't fancy Triple M's chances here. Legato's been a bit all over the place since debuting. I don't think they've really been particularly focused one way or the other. And I don't think they're going to get past the next round, but they're making a good start. They've made the correct impact so far. They're having good matches. Marseille didn't quite manage to get him out the ring as he'd like, but it looks like we're going flying. I forgot about their YouTube channel. I should watch that. Santos Escobar giving a bit of a pep talk there. Seems to have worked. Marseille is continuing to try and be a powerhouse, but it's not quite hitting as it means. Hitting as he means. Looks like we're going flying. Flew a bit too much and too far. Oh, that's much better. That is much better. Much better. Simon, once again. Doesn't mean Liv's push is over. Also, the push involved her getting a championship opportunity. You're not always going to be the number one person. Relax. Christoph says, Sean Sapp dragged in the mud. I love it. Seems to be very arrogant and full of himself. We'll see, because here's the thing. Has a very strong fan club to the point that I suspect he'll brush this off without any real effort. Dom says, hopefully Dominic comes back as his original character. Dominic Dijak comes back as his original character. T-Bar was horrible. Dom, I don't know if you've been watching NXT, but T-Bar be gone, man. T-Bar be gone. I genuinely didn't expect the match to even last this long. Legado in a dominant position right now. Eric said that they found Marseille yet. He's in the ring right now as we speak. While I sit at home, he's in a ring, wrestling a match. Not for long though, because they're about to lose. Legado wrap it up. Makes sense given that they'll be up against Imperium. That's going to be an exhibition match that I can get behind. Maxine Dupree is not happy with the results there. Triple M have been defined down pretty far. But it does show that there's plenty of enough tag teams to build a division. Plenty enough. Simon, I'm putting you in timeout. When you come here and only have one conversation, when you have openly said that you're not even watching, you're just there like, oh, well, this person's not on. It means this, it means this. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't. You're projecting, and you need to calm down. I do worry sometimes you get real worked up. I ain't going to let that happen. Roman's going to apologize again. Sammy's going to get a second apology. That's exactly what he wanted. Clear communication is very important in any relationship. Christoph says, I believe Escobar has a lot of potential of his own, but the faction itself won't get over. We'll see how that goes. As long as you have a natural charisma, you'll go far in this business. I'm not sure this is a full apology here. Sammy's being treated as a family member right now. Paul Heyman wiping away tears. Incredible overacting by all involved. It's a beautiful moment. Hector says, I love how important they make Santos Escobar look even when he's not wrestling. Coming out in an expensive suit and dress coat. I was worried about how he'd be presented on the main roster, but I'm happy to see it's going well. Matches have been high quality. Presentation's great. Wins and losses don't really matter. Sammy's taking charge essentially of the escape route here. They are definitely teasing it. The crowd have cheered quite loud for that fist bump. Eventually, there's going to be a murder happening in the ring. I still have no idea which one it's going to be, but there's going to be a murder in the middle of the ring. Up next, with only 10 minutes to go once the actual commercial break is wrapped up, Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. Sami Zayn is looking for the Usos. Sami Zayn might have a plan of his own. I don't think he's looking for the escape. I think he's looking for the attack. Sean says, I wouldn't mind Dijak winning the title from Wes Lee. I think it might be too soon, but I also don't hate the idea. I think he can be a major player, but he needs to sort of warm himself up a bit. Dom says, Paul wiping tears in the background. Hilarious. I can't disagree. I absolutely cannot disagree there. Says Paul is perfection. Justin says Paul is perfection. Fist bump is so over. Dominic says, love watching wrestling with my kid on Friday nights. 45. Grew up watching the Von Erich, Freebirds, Razor Ramon, old school, miss those days. I really like the Guerreros. I'm old. Great show. To be fair, I'm getting there, mate. I'm getting there. I'm starting to feel the aches and pains and having the groans when I have to get up in the morning. It's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, we make it look easy, me and you. But it's not easy. It's not easy. This has not been the best SmackDown in the world. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. It's been focused around Roman Reigns naturally, but even the Roman Sami storyline has been very sporadic, very spread out, and just not immediately the best work that they've done, because they've been through these steps before. The same, I feel, can be said with Bray Wyatt at the moment. We've seen it. We've seen it all before, in fact. We're not seeing a reinvention of Bray Wyatt. We're not seeing a new character. We're seeing the same guy he's always been, doing and saying the same things he's always done. So the focus then has to fall on the quality of the wrestling. No women's matches. One big women's segment involving Charlotte Flair and Sonya Deville. But it's mostly been focused on the 4 tag team matches. One of them was great. The Viking Raiders versus the Banger Bros. The opening match, which is always going to be designed, essentially, to be as good as possible and to really keep people invested. Beyond that, though, quality of wrestling was average at best. The second and fourth match in particular, not memorable at all. The match between Triple M and Legado del Fantasma, a couple of good flips, that's kind of it. So a little bit disappointing. As Justin says, no shiniest wizard, meh show for me. What does everyone think of SmackDown so far? What needs work? What do you disagree with me about? Because if you disagree with me, let's talk about it. Let's get some points going. Sean says the Usos are in the dark match after the show against the Street Profits. Moxie says, Tom, what do you see happening here? I see a contract signing. They are hyping up next week, Karrion Kross versus Rey Mysterio. Also next week, we have Hit Row versus Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. Hit Row have really not hit the mark since returning, and this very much proves it. Imperium versus Legado, which should be a very high quality match, really enjoyable, but it also is heel versus heel, and there's not much in the way of stakes. Imperium will definitely be winning it. It is a go-home show next week, and we are focused on tag team championships, which won't be defended at the show. I don't think they've really mastered how to hype this. Roman Reigns is making his entrance, which typically means that about 5 minutes from now, we're going to have a 3-minute rush through the entire contract signing, and that'll be it for the night. Ghost says as WWE's main roster currently holds 34 female wrestlers, 16 on Raw and 18 on SmackDown if you count Naomi, and 26 being available due to injuries or being champion. There have only been 6 women who have declared so far. I'm assuming there will be a lot of declarations next week or no declarations at all. I think at most we'll get to 15 women. I think that's as far as we'll go. At that point, they'll leave a lot of gaps available to make late changes and so on and so forth. I still remember the year, I think it was 2020? I think it was 2020 when Charlotte won. And they'd announced 28 women. So all of those 28 women didn't make it because they needed to make late changes. Sasha Banks wasn't in the Rumble, for example. Shayna Baszler was a surprise appearance. It was a crazy one. Moxie says they give SmackDown a 6. Megan says one word, wheel spin. We're very familiar with that, Megan, aren't we? Sean says they won't get to sign the contract. Roman's entrance will take the rest of the time. I mean, it's not an impossibility. It's really not. I am pretty happy with the fact that Solo is now coming down just with Roman. No Usos with him, nothing. Just Solo. There is a reliability about him that's been played up very nicely. Megan says a little too familiar, sadly. It is. I do think they've just got too long between pay-per-views. It's just too long, and it is not paying off for them. Christoph says no women's match tonight. Bad, agreed. And Justin says, think you're on the right track. I don't mind a more focused show, but jarring. They did need to rebuild the tag division, and that means every now and then you're going to have a tag match with 2 teams that aren't really hitting the heights. But, I don't know. This just needed... It needed a bit more heat behind it. A bit more intrigue, a bit more interest. Maybe that's what the plan was with Bray Wyatt, but... I don't know. We'll see how it goes with the contract signing. After all, let's be fair, if Uncle Howdy is appearing from under the table, suddenly I'm interested again. If Sami Zayn takes this opportunity to attack Roman Reigns, that also works. Maybe what we're going to see is that the Usos have become trapped backstage. Roman blames Sami, it was actually Kevin Owens. But it gives Kevin Owens the opportunity to actually get a few hits in. But then how's that going to work? Because Solo Sikoa's right there. And Solo's not just going to get knocked out of the ring and lay down. That's not his game. He's going to take the fight to Owens and he won't stop. Alyssa wants The Rock. Not that big a surprise, to be fair. Doesn't everybody? Hector says Roman really has an impressive shoe collection. Always with the Jordans tonight. The man knows his sneakers. Knows how to make it work. Sean says Peter Insider said Lita will be at Raw 30 this week. WrestleOps re-reported it. Perfect, Sean. You've sourced. You've told me where you've got the information from. And you've told me exactly what is going to happen. That is a perfect comment right there, Sean. Absolutely love it. Roman Reigns, as always, enjoying working with tables. I haven't seen anyone enjoy working with tables this much since the days of Bubba Ray Dudley. Kevin Owens has come on the attack. He's thrown Solo to the outside. He's got a stunner. At this point, it's going to have to be a hit and run. Solo's on the way back up. You can see him crouching in the background. The Usos are here. Sammy's going to have to get involved. Sammy's going to have to put him down. It's going to have to be Sammy. Kevin Owens is taking everybody out. No questions. Ghost says, as of late, the overall thread of storylines have been that they've had a good start, but it's not enough. Everything needs to have a little more pizzazz. It's all taking far too long. They're treading water. They're wasting time. Roman Reigns powerbombed through the table. No sign of Sammy. No sign of Sammy at all. Paul Heyman cowering in the corner of both championships. Definitely a good spot for Kevin Owens to be in. He's just beating up the entire bloodline. Kind of effortlessly. You wouldn't expect it to be this easy for him. The contract has been signed. Here's Sammy. You can't just walk away from this, Sammy. Good catch. Lovely catch of that contract. Owens runs from Sami Zayn. A very, very good spot from Kevin Owens there. Doing some serious damage and then running the hell away. Sami Zayn laid down. Questions will be raised. I can see Paul Heyman already asking the questions. The bloodline on one side of the ring. Sami Zayn stands alone on the other. Not sure you can blame Sami for that one. You gave him a job to do. It took him another minute. I've noticed Kevin Owens also wearing a J armband. Credit to him. As contract signings go, not bad at all, especially when you consider they had 3 minutes to do it. 3 minutes, that's all they had. That's all they had. Yes, Megan also seeing it. Owens with a J armband. Nice. Mr. Stumble says, do you see ex-con Dom becoming WWE champion? Eventually, yeah. Absolutely I do. I think he's got everything it takes. I really do. Simon says, where's Asuka lately? She'll be back for the Royal Rumble. She's just on a bit of a holiday at the moment. She asked for some time off. She got it. She'll be back shortly. Kevin says, plot twist, KO signs Sammy's name. I mean, Paul Heyman spotted something wrong with that contract. At this point, though, Sammy would just relinquish the match. It wouldn't be the right call. Give it a bit more time, though. Give it a bit more time, and before you know it, that'll be a play. And that'll be one hell of a play. At this point, we are going to wrap up. B-School Nick says, was Uncle Howdy on tonight? Yes, but only in a vignette. He was only there as recording. He wasn't there in person. Even though the person who played him was there. Ghost says, Medusa has also been confirmed for Raw 30th according to the graphic shown tonight. Yeah, bottom right. It's been a little while since I've seen her, to be fair. It's nice every now and then to get a different face. A different one. So as I say, we are going to wrap up there. It is 3 a.m. over here in the UK. And I am going to take my dodgy rib and try and get some sleep. Sean says Roman and Sami have faced each other once during Roman's reign. I think Roman beat him quickly. He did. There was also a while when Sami was Brock's best friend, which was genuinely quite fun. B-School Nick says, is it Bo Dallas? It is. As I said when Uncle Howdy debuted, that'd be Bo Dallas. At least he's been playing the role recently. We'll see how it actually goes long term and go from there. In the meantime, though, we'll be back on Monday for Spoiler Warning. We'll also be live on Tuesday for a Royal Rumble preview show with Nick Barbatti of Nick and Tom's Intercontinental Adventure, live at 10 p.m. UK, 5 p.m. ET, right here on the Tom Colohue channel on Tuesday. Until then, all I have to say is thank you very much for joining me. Keep your eye out for the shorts as they come out. I've been Tom Colohue, you have been fantastic, and I will see you all very soon.